In the last episode, we left off with our young hero, Maya, having successfully brought together various factions of her community to build a thriving network of like-minded individuals working towards a common goal. Her tireless efforts to create sustainable programs, forge strategic partnerships, and establish a strong online presence had begun to yield remarkable results. As she continued to address the needs of marginalized groups and equip her leaders with the necessary skills to navigate cultural sensitivity and conflict resolution, the network grew, and her vision for a brighter future began to take shape. Maya's eyes fluttered open, the soft glow of her comms device casting an ethereal light on her face. She lay still, the silence of her small, cluttered quarters a welcome respite from the constant din of activity that had become her life. For a moment, she simply breathed, letting the weight of her responsibilities settle back onto her shoulders. It had been months since the network's inception, and the progress they'd made was nothing short of astonishing. Yet, with every step forward, the stakes seemed to grow higher, the expectations more pronounced. Maya's thoughts drifted to the countless individuals who had placed their trust in her, who looked up to her as a beacon of hope in a world that often seemed determined to crush their spirits. She tossed off the covers, her movements swift and efficient as she began to prep for another long day. Her fingers flew across the comms device, scrolling through the endless stream of messages, updates, and notifications that awaited her. "Ari, what's the situation like on the ground?" she asked, her voice clear, though a hint of fatigue lingered beneath the surface. Ari's response was immediate, her voice laced with a subtle urgency. "Maya, we're experiencing some pushback from the local authorities. They're claiming our community programs are a threat to their own initiatives and they're trying to shut us down." Maya's grip on the device tightened, a simmering anger rising to the surface. "Get me a meeting with the mayor's office now. We need to address this before it escalates." The soft hum of the hoverbike's engines grew louder as Maya arrived at the designated meeting point, the imposing structure of the mayor's office looming before her. Ari was already waiting, her expression somber as she handed Maya a data slate containing the latest updates on the situation. "They're not messing around, Maya," Ari warned. "The mayor's office is claiming that our programs are siphoning funds from their own initiatives, and they're threatening to revoke our permits if we don't comply." Maya's eyes narrowed as she scanned the data slate, her mind racing with the implications. This was exactly the kind of pushback she had anticipated, but she had hoped to have more time to prepare. "I need to know what we're up against," Maya said, her voice firm. "Get me everything you can on the mayor's office, their affiliations, and any potential weaknesses. I want to know what makes them tick." Ari nodded, her fingers already flying across her own comms device. "I'm on it, Maya, but we need to be careful. If we're not strategic about this, we risk alienating the very people we're trying to help." Maya's gaze locked onto the mayor's office, her determination burning brighter with every passing moment. She knew that this was a battle worth fighting, one that would define the future of her community. The meeting with the mayor's office was a tense, hours-long affair, with Maya and her team refusing to back down in the face of mounting pressure. The authorities were relentless, their words laced with veiled threats and condescending tone. As the meeting drew to a close, Maya's anger had given way to a cold, calculating resolve. She knew that she had to take a stand, to draw a line in the sand and defend the progress they had made. "I understand your concerns, gentlemen," Maya said, her voice even, her words deliberate. "But I will not be intimidated. Our community will not be silenced. We will continue to work towards a brighter future with or without your support." The silence that followed was oppressive, the air thick with tension as the mayor's office absorbed the weight of Maya's words. "We'll be in touch," the mayor's representative said finally, his tone dripping with malice. "You can be certain of that." Maya's gaze never wavered, her eyes locked onto the man as she stood, her movements fluid and confident. "I'm counting on it," she said, her voice like steel. As she exited the mayor's office, Maya felt a shiver run down her spine. She knew that she had just crossed a threshold, that the stakes had been raised and the game had changed. But she was ready. For the first time in her life, she felt truly alive, her purpose clear, her resolve unshakable. The hoverbike roared to life beneath her, and Maya felt a sense of freedom wash over her as she sped away from the mayor's office, the wind whipping through her hair, her heart pounding in her chest. She knew that the road ahead would be fraught with danger, that the battles would be fierce and the losses would be real. But Maya was no longer just a girl with a vision. She was a leader, a beacon of hope in a world that desperately needed it. And she was ready to fight. She rose from the narrow bunk, her eyes already scanning the cramped quarters, her mind racing with the implications of the authorities' sudden hostility. The room was a testament to her nomadic existence, personal belongings scattered about, with notes and schematics tacked to the walls and discarded packets of ration bars littering the floor. As she made her way to the small console, her thoughts turned to the countless individuals who had placed their trust in her, who saw her as a symbol of hope in a world that often seemed determined to crush their spirits. She knew that she couldn't let them down, not now, not when the network was on the cusp of something momentous. The comms device beeped and Ari's face materialized on the screen, her features drawn, her eyes sunken. "I've managed to secure a meeting with the mayor's office, Maya, but we need to be careful. There are rumors of unsavory elements involved." Maya's expression hardened. "I'll be there, Ari. Make sure our people are prepared for any eventuality." As she disconnected the call, the silence in the room seemed to press in around her, heavy with anticipation. She knew that this was a turning point, one that would determine the course of the network's future. With a quiet determination, Maya began to prep for the meeting, her movements swift, her mind racing with strategies and counter-strategies. In the midst of her preparations, a soft chime from the comms device broke the silence. Maya's heart skipped a beat as she recognized the encryption signature. It was a message from the enigmatic figure known only as Phoenix. "Meet me at the old clock tower at midnight," the message read. "Come alone." Maya's instincts screamed caution, but her curiosity was piqued. Who was Phoenix and what did they want from her? She hesitated for a moment, then made her decision. The clock tower at midnight. She would be there. Her eyes narrowed, Maya's mind racing with the implications of the authorities' sudden interest in her community. She knew that the network's rapid growth had caught the attention of those who felt threatened by its influence, but she had hoped to avoid direct confrontation for a while longer. As she made her way to the designated meeting point, a mix of anticipation and trepidation swirled within her. The familiar streets of the city seemed to blur around her, her thoughts consumed by the possibilities of what lay ahead. Maya arrived at the mayor's office, the imposing structure a testament to the city's complex history. Ari and several other key members of the network accompanied her, their determined faces a reflection of their commitment to the cause. The mayor's aide, a stern-faced woman with a practiced smile, greeted them with a chilly politeness. "Mayor Ortega will see you now." Maya led the way, her eyes locked on the mayor as they entered the opulent office. The air was thick with the scent of old books and stale air, a subtle reminder of the establishment's weighty presence. "Mayor Ortega," Maya began, her voice firm but respectful, "I understand there are concerns about our community programs. I'd like to address those concerns directly." The mayor, a man with a well-groomed appearance and a calculating gaze, leaned back in his chair. "Miss Maya, I believe you're called. Your initiative has certainly garnered attention. Unfortunately, we have reason to believe that your activities are undermining our own efforts to revitalize this city." Maya's instincts told her that Ortega was hiding something, but she kept her tone measured. "I'd be happy to discuss ways in which we can collaborate, Mayor. Our goals are not mutually exclusive. We're working towards the betterment of this community just as you are." Ortega's smile was a thin-lipped affair, devoid of genuine warmth. "I think we can find a way to work together, Maya, but there must be certain concessions made on your part." The room seemed to grow colder, Maya's senses on high alert as she detected the subtle threat beneath the mayor's words. "What kind of concessions, Mayor?" she pressed, her voice even but her eyes flashing with a hint of defiance. Ortega's gaze lingered on hers, a silent challenge hanging in the balance. I think we'll discuss those further in the days to come. For now, let's just say that we're willing to accommodate your efforts as long as you're willing to accommodate ours. The meeting concluded, Maya's team dispersing into the city streets, their footsteps echoing with a mix of determination and unease. Maya knew that the mayor's words were a warning, a thinly veiled threat to the very existence of her network. As she walked away from the mayor's office, the city's landscape seemed to shift, the skyscrapers looming like sentinels, guarding secrets and lies. Maya's heart pounded in her chest, a sense of foreboding settling in, like a shadow cast over the fragile hope she had built. She quickened her pace, the comms device in her hand buzzing with an incoming message from an unknown sender. "Meet me at the old clock tower at midnight," the message read. "Come alone." Maya's instinct screamed warning, yet she felt an inexplicable pull, a sense that the fate of her network hung in the balance. She deleted the message, her eyes scanning the crowded streets, her mind racing with the implications of the unknown. The comms device beeped, signaling an incoming message from an unknown sender. Maya's instincts flared, her heart rate quickening as she opened the message. A shiver ran down her spine as she read the cryptic warning. "The storm is coming. Beware the ones who wear masks." She frowned, her mind racing to decipher the message's meaning. Was it a threat from an unknown adversary or a genuine warning from a sympathizer? The uncertainty gnawed at her, but she pushed the concern aside, focusing on the more pressing issue at hand. "Maya, I've secured a meeting with the mayor's office for 0900 hours. Ari's voice interrupted her thoughts. "Good, I'll be there. Make sure our team is prepared to present our case. We need to be persuasive, not confrontational." Maya's eyes locked onto the holographic display in front of her, the words of the mysterious message lingering like a ghostly whisper. As she made her way to the meeting, Maya's thoughts turned to the fragile alliance she'd forged with the local organizations. The partnerships had been the key to their success, but they also made them vulnerable to external pressures. One misstep, and the entire network could come crashing down. She arrived at the mayor's office, her team in tow. The atmosphere was tense, the air thick with the scent of bureaucratic skepticism. Maya took a deep breath, her eyes locked onto the mayor's. "Mayor Rodriguez, I appreciate you agreeing to meet with us. I'm confident we can resolve this misunderstanding amicably." Maya's voice was calm, but her words were laced with a subtle steel. The mayor's expression remained neutral, but Maya detected a flicker of unease behind his eyes. "Miss Maya, your community programs have been causing quite the stir. We can't have unauthorized initiatives undermining our own efforts." Maya's team remained silent, their eyes fixed on her as she navigated the treacherous landscape of local politics. "I understand your concerns, Mayor, but our programs were created to fill the gaps in your initiatives. We're not in competition, we're complementary." The meeting dragged on, with Maya and her team presenting their case, citing statistics and success stories. The mayor's demeanor remained unyielding, but Maya sensed a subtle shift, a crack in the armor of bureaucratic resistance. As they exited the office, Maya's instincts told her they'd bought some time, but the war was far from won. The mysterious message still lingered, its warning echoing in her mind like a distant storm. Back in her quarters, Maya's gaze drifted to the holographic display, the words of the message still emblazoned on her mind. She knew she couldn't ignore it, not when the stakes were this high. The storm was coming and she needed to be prepared. "Ari, can you dig deeper into the source of that message? I need to know who's behind it." Ari's response was immediate. "Already on it, Maya, but be warned, the trail might lead us down a rabbit hole we're not prepared for." Maya's eyes locked onto the display, her heart pounding in anticipation. She was ready to face whatever lay ahead, for the sake of her network, her people, and the future they were fighting for. The comms device beeped softly as Maya's assistant, Jax, patched through the call to the mayor's office. Maya took a deep breath, her mind racing with strategies and counterarguments as she awaited the mayor's response. The wait was brief, and soon the mayor's voice filled the room, laced with a condescending tone that set Maya's teeth on edge. "Ah, Maya, I'm afraid we have a bit of a situation on our hands. Your little community initiative has gotten a bit out of hand, hasn't it?" Maya's voice remained calm, her words measured. "Mayor, I'd like to clarify that our programs are designed to support and empower the local community. We're not in competition with your initiatives, but rather, we're working to complement them." The mayor's chuckle was forced, dripping with insincerity. "I'm afraid that's not how it looks from our end, Maya. We have concerns about the influence you're exerting over our citizens. You see, we can't have outside forces dictating how our city is run." Maya's anger simmered, but she refused to let it boil over. She knew the game the mayor was playing, using veiled threats to intimidate and undermine her efforts. "I understand your concerns, Mayor, but I'd like to propose a joint meeting between our organizations to discuss our initiatives and find common ground. I'm confident we can work together to benefit the community." The mayor's hesitation was palpable, and Maya sensed a hint of uncertainty. "Very well, Maya. I'll agree to the meeting, but I warn you, we will not be swayed by emotional appeals or grandstanding. We will be scrutinizing your programs, and if we find any evidence of misconduct or manipulation, we will take swift action." Maya's lips curved into a determined smile as the call ended. She knew the battle lines had been drawn and the stakes had just gotten higher. But she was ready. She was Maya, the beacon of hope, and she would not let her community down. The comms device beeped again and Jax's voice filled the room. "Maya, I've got some news from our sources within the mayor's office. It seems there's a mole, someone feeding information about our operations to the authorities." Maya's gaze narrowed, her mind racing with the implications. "Get me a list of everyone with access to sensitive information. We need to find that mole before they do any more damage." The room fell silent, the only sound the soft hum of the comms device as Maya's team sprang into action, working to unravel the web of deceit that threatened to destroy everything they'd worked so hard to build. As the darkness gathered around her, Maya's eyes locked onto the small, flickering light of her comms device. She knew the night ahead would be long, the road to triumph fraught with peril. But she was ready to face it head-on, her heart ablaze with a fierce determination to protect her community. To safeguard the future they were fighting for, the silence was heavy, like a physical presence as Maya's team worked tirelessly to uncover the mole. Jax's fingers flew across the console, his brow furrowed in concentration as he hacked into secure databases, searching for any hint of betrayal. Maya's eyes scanned the room, her gaze lingering on each face, wondering who among them could be hiding a secret. Suddenly, the comms device beeped, shrill and insistent. Maya's heart skipped a beat as Jax's voice cut through the tension. "Maya, I've found something. It looks like our mole is closer than we thought." The room seemed to hold its breath as Maya's eyes locked onto Jax. "Who is it?" she demanded, her voice low and deadly. Jax's face was grim. "It's Alex. He's been feeding information to the mayor's office for weeks." Maya's mind reeled as she tried to process the betrayal. Alex, one of her most trusted team members, had been playing her all along. She felt a sting of sadness followed by a wave of anger. How could he do this to her, to their community? Without a word, Maya strode across the room, her eyes blazing with fury. She yanked open the door, revealing Alex standing in the corridor, a look of guilty fear etched on his face. "Maya, I can explain," he began, but Maya cut him off. "There's no explanation, Alex. You're done. You're out of here." Alex's eyes darted around the room as if searching for an ally, but he found none. With a heavy heart, Maya watched as he slunk away, his tail between his legs. The silence that followed was oppressive, weighing heavily on Maya's shoulders. She knew that this was just the beginning, that the mayor would stop at nothing to crush her movement. But she refused to back down. She rallied her team, her voice steady and strong. "We can't let one traitor bring us down. We need to regroup, refocus, and come out stronger than ever. We have a community to protect, and I won't let anyone get in our way." As the night wore on, Maya's team worked with renewed determination, fueled by anger and a sense of betrayal. But Maya's eyes kept drifting back to the comms device, her mind racing with the question, who else was hiding in the shadows waiting to strike? Suddenly, the device beeped again and Jax's voice cut through the din. "Maya, I've received a message from an unknown sender. It's a warning. The mayor's not the only one watching. Be careful, Maya. You're not as safe as you think." Maya's heart skipped a beat as the room fell silent once more. She knew that this was more than just a threat, it was a declaration of war. The words hung in the air like a challenge, echoing off the walls of the cramped control room. Maya's eyes narrowed, her mind racing with the implications. Who was behind the message and what did they want? Jax's fingers flew across the console once more, his brow furrowed in concentration as he tried to trace the message's origin. The room was quiet, the only sound the soft hum of machinery and the occasional beep of the comms device. "Anything, Jax?" Maya asked, her voice low and tight. "Not yet," he replied, his eyes darting up to meet hers. "But I'm working on it, Maya. I'll find out who's behind this." Maya nodded, her eyes never leaving Jax's face. She knew she could trust him, trust his skills and his dedication to their cause. As the minutes ticked by, the tension in the room grew. Maya's team worked on, their faces set with determination, but their eyes kept darting to the comms device, waiting for another message, another threat. Maya couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched, that unseen eyes were trained on them, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. She tried to push the feeling aside to focus on the task at hand, but it lingered, a constant presence in the back of her mind. Suddenly, the comms device beeped again, and Jax's voice cut through the tension. "Maya, I've got something." The message originated from a secure server downtown, but I managed to trace it back to a physical location, an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of the city. Maya's heart raced as she processed the information. This was it, their chance to take the fight back to their enemies, to uncover the truth behind the mysterious message. "Get the team ready," she said, her voice low and deadly. "We're going in." The room erupted into a flurry of activity as Maya's team scrambled to prepare for the mission. Maya watched them, her eyes blazing with determination, her heart pounding with anticipation. This was it, the moment of truth. She was ready to face whatever lay ahead, ready to fight for her community, for her people. With a deep breath, Maya led her team out into the night, ready to face whatever dangers lay in store. The warehouse loomed before them, a dark and foreboding presence. But Maya didn't hesitate. She knew that this was just the beginning, the start of a new chapter in their fight against the mayor and his cronies. She knew that the road ahead would be fraught with danger, with uncertainty, but she was ready. For the first time in weeks, Maya felt a sense of purpose, of direction. She knew exactly what she had to do, and she was ready to do it, no matter the cost. As they approached the warehouse, Maya's heart raced with excitement, with fear. What would they find inside? Who was behind the mysterious message? Only one way to find out. With a deep breath, Maya led her team into the unknown, ready to face whatever lay ahead. Maya's eyes locked onto Jax, her voice low and deadly. "Can you trace the sender?" Jax's fingers flew across the console, his brow furrowed in concentration. "Working on it, Maya, but it's a tough one. The senders covered their tracks well." Maya's mind raced as she scanned the room, her gaze lingering on each face. Who was behind this warning? Was it a friend or a foe? The silence was oppressive, weighing heavily on Maya's shoulders. She knew that she had to take action to protect her team and her community. "All right, here's what we're going to do," Maya said, her voice steady and strong. "Jax, keep working on tracing the sender. I want to know who's behind this warning. The rest of you, let's get to work. We need to increase security, make sure we're prepared for anything." Maya's team sprang into action, their movements swift and efficient. Maya watched them, her heart swelling with pride. They were a team united against a common enemy. As the night wore on, Maya's mind kept drifting back to the warning. Who was watching her? What did they want? Maya's thoughts were interrupted by Jax's voice, his tone urgent. "Maya, I've got something." The sender's IP address is linked to an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town. Maya's heart skipped a beat as she turned to her team. "All right, let's move out. We need to investigate." The team fell silent, their eyes locked onto Maya. They knew that this was a risk, but they also knew that they had to take it. They had to uncover the truth. With a steady hand, Maya led her team out of the room into the unknown. The night air was cool and crisp as they made their way to the abandoned warehouse. Maya's heart raced with anticipation, her mind racing with questions. What would they find? Who was behind the warning? As they approached the warehouse, Maya's instinct screamed at her to be careful. She knew that they were walking into a trap, but she also knew that they had to take the risk. With a deep breath, Maya pushed open the door, her eyes scanning the dimly lit interior. The air was musty and stale, the only sound the creaking of old wooden beams. Maya's team fanned out, their movements swift and silent. Maya's heart pounded in her chest as she led the way, her eyes locked onto the shadows. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the darkness. Maya's heart skipped a beat as she took in the familiar features. It was Rachel, the mayor's daughter. Rachel's eyes were cold and calculating, her voice dripping with malice. "Welcome, Maya. I've been waiting for you." Maya's mind raced as she took in the scene. What did Rachel want? Why was she involved in this? But before Maya could ask any questions, Rachel's eyes flicked to the side and Maya followed her gaze. Standing in the shadows, his eyes fixed on Maya, was a figure she had never seen before. A figure who made her blood run cold. And with that, everything changed. Maya's eyes locked onto Jack's, her mind racing with the implications of the message. Who was behind the warning? And what did they know about her movement? "What else does the message say?" Maya asked, her voice calm and even, but her heart racing with unease. Jax's fingers flew across the console, his brow furrowed in concentration. "Nothing else, Maya, just that one sentence. But the encryption is sophisticated. Whoever sent this is trying to hide their tracks." Maya's gaze swept the room, her eyes lingering on each face. She trusted her team, but the betrayal by Alex had shaken her to the core. Who else might be hiding secrets? She took a deep breath, her mind racing with strategies and counter-strategies. She couldn't let fear paralyze her. She had to keep moving forward no matter the risks. "Keep tracking the source of the message," Maya ordered, her voice firm. "I want to know who's behind this. In the meantime, let's increase security measures. I don't want to take any chances." Her team nodded, their faces set with determination. Maya knew she could count on them, but the warning had raised the stakes. She was no longer just fighting against the mayor's office. She was fighting against unknown enemies, lurking in the shadows. As the night wore on, Maya's team worked tirelessly to uncover the identity of the mysterious sender. Maya's mind raced with possibilities, her thoughts haunted by the words of the warning. She knew she couldn't let fear consume her, but it was hard to shake off the feeling of being watched, of being vulnerable. Just as she was starting to think that they were getting nowhere, Jax's voice cut through the din. "Maya, I've found something. The encryption is complex, but I think I can crack it." Maya's heart skipped a beat as Jax's fingers flew across the console. The room fell silent, the only sound the soft hum of the machines. And then, suddenly, the console beeped and Jax's voice cut through the tension. "Maya, I've got it. The message is from Renat." Maya's eyes widened as she felt a jolt of surprise. Renat, the enigmatic leader of the underground resistance. What did she want with Maya and why was she warning her? Maya's mind raced with questions, but she knew one thing for certain: she had to respond, and she had to do it now. The game had just changed, and Maya was ready to play. The words hung in the air, a challenge tossed into the midst of Maya's already fragile team. She felt the weight of her responsibility, the burden of keeping her people safe, growing heavier by the minute. "What do we know about the sender?" Maya asked, her voice even, but her mind racing with possibilities. Jax's fingers flew across the console, his brow furrowed in concentration. "Nothing concrete, Maya. The message was routed through a series of proxies. I'm trying to trace the origin, but it's like chasing smoke." Maya's eyes narrowed, her gaze drifting around the room. She knew that she had to be careful, that one misstep could mean disaster. She couldn't let fear take hold, not now, not when her community needed her most. "Keep digging, Jax," she said, her voice firm. "I want to know who's behind this. In the meantime, we need to increase security, double the guards, add more cameras, and get the tech team to work on encrypting our comms." The room erupted into a flurry of activity, Maya's team springing into action with renewed purpose. Maya watched, her heart pounding in her chest as they worked together to fortify their defenses. But even as she felt a sense of determination, a sense of resolve, Maya couldn't shake off the feeling of unease. The message had been clear. She was being watched, and she wasn't as safe as she thought. She thought back to the early days of her movement, to the countless nights spent planning, strategizing, and building. She had always known that there would be risks, that there would be those who opposed her. But she had never expected this sense of being hunted. As the night wore on, Maya found herself withdrawn, her mind consumed by the warning. She knew that she had to be careful, that one mistake could mean the end of everything she had worked for. She glanced around the room, her eyes settling on each face, searching for any sign of weakness, any sign of betrayal. But all she saw was determination, a sense of purpose that mirrored her own. Maya took a deep breath, her shoulders squaring. She knew that she couldn't let fear take hold, not now, not when her community needed her most. She would keep moving forward, keep fighting for what she believed in, no matter the cost. The comms device beeped again, shrill and insistent. Maya's heart skipped a beat as Jax's voice cut through the din. "Maya, I've found something. It looks like our mysterious sender has sent another message." Maya's eyes locked onto Jax, her mind racing with possibilities. What did they want? What did they know? "What does it say?" she asked, her voice low and deadly. Jax's face was grim. "It says, 'Meet me at the old clock tower at midnight. Come alone.'" Maya's heart pounded in her chest, her mind racing with the implications. She knew that she couldn't trust this mysterious sender, that they could be walking into a trap. But she also knew that she couldn't ignore the message. She had to know what they wanted, what they knew. With a heavy heart, Maya made her decision. She would go to the clock tower alone and face whatever lay ahead. The fate of her community depended on it. Maya's eyes snapped to Jax, her mind racing with the implications. "Play the message again," she demanded, her voice low and even. Jax nodded, and the comms device beeped once more. The message was short, but the words sent a chill down Maya's spine. "The mayor's not the only one watching. Be careful, Maya. You're not as safe as you think." The room was silent, the only sound the soft hum of the console. Maya's team was watching her, waiting for her to react, but she was frozen in thought. Who was behind the message? And what did they want? Slowly, Maya's gaze swept the room, her eyes lingering on each face. She knew that she couldn't trust anyone, not now. The mole had proven that even her closest allies could be hiding secrets. "I need to know who sent this," Maya said, her voice firm. "Jax, can you trace the message?" Jax nodded, his fingers flying across the console. "I'll try, Maya, but it won't be easy. Whoever sent this knows how to cover their tracks." Maya's lips compressed into a thin line. She knew that she was in a game of cat and mouse, and she was determined to come out on top. As Jax worked, Maya's team began to murmur among themselves, their voices low and anxious. Maya knew that she needed to reassure them, to remind them that they were still in control. "We're not going to let this scare us," Maya said, her voice ringing out across the room. "We're going to find out who's behind this, and we're going to take them down. We're stronger than ever, and we're not going to let anyone bring us down." The room fell silent once more, but this time it was different. Maya's team was watching her, their eyes filled with a newfound determination. They knew that they were in this together, that they would fight to the end to protect their community. As Maya turned back to Jax, her eyes locked onto the console screen. Jax's face was grim, his brow furrowed in concentration. "What is it?" Maya asked, her heart pounding in her chest. "I've found something," Jax said, his voice low. "The message was sent from a secure server, but I managed to trace it back to a location. It's an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of the city." Maya's eyes narrowed. This was it, this was the break she needed. She turned to her team, her voice firm. Gear up, team. We're going in.